Andrew is driving at 24 meters per second and begins to decelerate at a constant rate of -1 meter per second square. Eventually, Andrew comes to complete stop. 1. Represent Andrew decelerated motion by sketching a velocity time graph. 2. Use kinematic equations to calculate the distance which Andrew traveled while decelerating. And 3. Use the velocity time graph to determine this distance. So the first thing we need to do for this problem is to create a graph that represents Andrew's motions. So on the y-axis, I'm going to put velocity. On the x-axis, I'm going to put time. And we know that Andrew starts out at 24 meters per second. And so the deceleration is -1, so which means the slope of the line is -1. And so Andrew will come to complete stop in 24 seconds later. So for part 2, we need to use the kinematic equations. Before we do that, we need to list out what is given to us. It's giving us the starting velocity and it's giving us the accelerations. And we need to find delta x, which represents the distance. The equations that we'll be using is Vf squared, velocity final square, equal to velocity starting sub naught square, which is starting velocity, plus 2a delta x. And the derivation for this kinematic equation is in the video on top right here. So click on that if you are curious on how to come up with that equations. And so the rest is quite simple. You just plug in the number. Final velocity is 0 because Andrew is going to come to complete stop. And then starting velocity is 24 squared that plus 2. A is -1. And so I just do some arithmetic. And then the answer should be 288 meters. So the next thing we need to do is we need to use the velocity time graph to determine the distance. So this is the velocity time graph. So how do we determine the distance based on this graph? Okay, without using the kinematic equations. So you should remember that to find the distance of that Andrew traveled for the velocity time graph, you need to find the area under the line here. So area equals 1/2 base times height. So we just put in 24 because that's the base, and 24 and that's the height, and that would give us 288 meters. These are the two different methods of solving the problems, and both of the methods will lead you to the same result. That's pretty much it for this video. Have a wonderful day, everyone.